Dun, dun, dun. And I see some familiar faces. Hey, hey. If I can see your faces, that would be wonderful. If I can't, no biggie. Courtney, Shiloh, Brittany, Nicole, Jasmine, Diana, Sadie, Wendy, and Jen. If I know Jen, she's probably doing 50 million things. Has her camera off, just teasing. Oh. Hey, when she laughs and she sent it to the right person. No, I'm just teasing. Oh, I love you, Jen.
Sausha, she is doing 50 million things.
Hi, Diana. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just saw her running up the stairs.
I was so glad to see your name come through. So it's
Oh,
good,
thank you. I'm really
good to
looking
see
forward to it.
you. Yeah, and we see Wendy. Nice to see you. I love your hair and your photo. Oh, you're like a real life mermaid. I freaking love it. All right. Well, we are going to dive right into this. I am going to share this document just in case you guys didn't get it in the inbox because I know, or in your emails, because I know sometimes Google and all that crap can be kind of a mess. So I will share this with you ladies and walk you through. Let me close out of a few other things here so that you guys also have my full attention. So I'll walk you through kind of how to navigate this workbook. And you can do the rest of the workbook on your own time. We are going to use some of it today, but the rest of it is for you as reflection. And you can also kind of ask me some questions afterwards. Feel free to email, but we can also do some of that during the hot seat coaching part as well. Okay. So I went ahead and I dropped it in the chat. But what I am going to do here is share my screen so that you guys can see that there are multiple components of this. I've had some folks in the past where they didn't realize that there is, several different tabs here. So when they go to save the PDF, it only saves the first page. So I just want you guys to know that there are multiple pages here. We're going to spend some of the time on these first couple, but then these are just extra, these last three are just kind of extra for you as your own reflection beyond this. Okay. So as you go through here, you'll see that there's multiple different things. And what I will want you to do, I put it up here, please make a copy. So what you'll do is come up here, file, make a copy, and then you can put, your own name here. So I see Diana first. And so you can do that and then make a copy under your own drive. That would probably be easiest for those of you who like Google Docs. Otherwise, what you can do is save this as a PDF to your own drive, your own computer, however you want to do it, and then just print them off or, put them on Word doc or something like that. So you do all have access to this. I think you have viewer access, so you shouldn't be able to write in here, but if you can, please don't, just because there's lots of people who do have access to this. And I want to keep this as a clean version, and then you guys can make your own version and do whatever the heck you want with it. Okay. So any questions on the workbook? I didn't really think that you guys needed it to be super fancy. It was more about you getting the information than having like a super pretty whatever one. So all the information is there. I wanted you to have as much as you possibly could versus me wasting the time making it Canva pretty. I wanted to give you more than focus on aesthetics. Okay. Wendy says here, sorry, I also have to do some things while I'm with you. Unfortunately, I don't want to disrupt you, so I'll stay muted and video off. Excited to be here. Totally fine. Yep. And if you're here and if you're just listening in, just pop it in the chat that you'll be listening in. That way, I won't call on you or won't expect you to do any hot seat coaching or anything like that. Pop it in the chat. Hey, I'm listening in, anything like that. And then I won't bug you. So what I would love for you guys to do, grab your workbook, grab a journal. We're going to dive right into this. And Shiloh says, listening to the last half since I will be driving. Perfect. The last half is mostly going to be hot seat coaching. So then you can listen in to what others have going on type of thing. And I do ask that what happens here stays here and that this Second half of this call will only be shared with those who are here. The second half of this call will not be shared publicly. So for anybody who does hot seat coaching with me, just know that you will get access to the replay, but it will not be shared beyond that. Okay. So just wanted to clarify that in case that deterred anybody from wanting to do any type of coaching. I know sometimes there's people out there that'll share the whole video, and I just want you to know that I don't have any intention of doing that. Okay. So let's get right to it. What I want everybody to do, myself included, is just take a moment, take a deep breath. We're here together. Let's pause. Let's be present. Let's try to ground into this moment as best as you can. I know there's a few of us that have a few other things going on, and that's okay, right? This is life. This is real. So let's just everybody take one deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out. Okay. We're here. You made it here. All right. And I want you to know that whatever you've been carrying, okay, today we're going to start letting it go. A lot of us carry so much shame and guilt and weight around money and our finances. And that is not what I want this session to be about. I want this to be about clarity. I want this to be about empowerment. And I want you to walk away feeling better than when you came. All right. That is my intention for today. So with that being said, I want you guys to just take a moment, get your pen, get your paper, write it on your phone. I don't care where you put it. What's one word to describe how money specifically, has felt for you lately? Jessica says mostly listening, but I will chime in if I can. And it's so good to see you, Jessica. I'm glad that you were able to come too. Okay. Write your one word down in your journal, and then I want you to pop it in the chat. Limiting, intimidating, roller coaster, conflicted, heavy, stressful, yeah, stretched. And if you have a positive feeling about money too, that's okay. I know sometimes we can feel excited about money one day and terrified about money the other day, right? And so I think sometimes when we see others that are stressed about money, we also feel like we should be stressed about money. Or if people are happy about money, we feel like we should be happy about money. And then it starts to add more and more stress to us, right? Okay. And so why does sales, why does business, why does money feel harder than really it should? Okay. And it's not that you don't work hard. I'm sure everybody here is a workhorse. I'm sure everybody here does all the things all day long. And if hard work equaled wealth, then everybody here would be rich, right? Nobody here, none of you would be here if hard work equaled more money, right? You've already been doing plenty. Okay. And so we want to really squash that belief that hard work equals more money. Okay. And so these beliefs that you're carrying, these stories, this energy that you have, if you will literally block you from making more money, from receiving more money, because it's that never ending cycle, right? You're always going to be chasing more. There's never enough. Okay. And so that's the thing that we want to squash today. Okay. That hard work, or one of the things I should say that we want to squash, is that hard work does not equal money. Okay. Perfect example. If you invest in in rental properties, if you invest in the S&P 500, if you invest in a high yield savings account, okay, do you think it takes hard work for that to compound over time? No, you do it once, and it's the time, it's the compound event or effect that will then turn that into wealth. You do it once, you do it right, it will create wealth. It doesn't necessarily mean that you had to work hard to do more. You have systems, you have processes, you have things. And so I want to squash that belief that you have to work 60, 80, 100 hours a week in order to be wealthy, in order to be well off. Okay. So the next question that I want to ask you is, where do you feel right now in your business, in your life, that you are making money harder than it has to be? First thing that comes up, don't overthink it. Where are you making money harder than it has to be?
Hmm.
Think of the first word that comes up, or a part of your body that comes up. Where do you feel it at in your body? Or do you think of your checking account? Do you think of your business? Do you think of credit cards? Where do you think of when you think of money is hard right now? That, yeah, earning. Okay. What else? What else feels hard about money right now? Expectations. Feel it in your gut. Yeah, sometimes we can feel it in our head. We can have like chronic headaches, chronic migraines, where it's just like that constant, like you can't ever turn it off. Sometimes we can feel it in our throat, where it's like we just can't talk about it. Like you're thinking about it all the time, but it's like it's one thing you cannot talk about. Or we feel it in our chest, like it's just like a tightness. You just are like so anxious, or you have like sweaty palms, or you feel it in your gut, right? It's like that like butterfly feeling, or it's like makes you like kind of sick to your stomach. Or we think of it's hard to make money, or I can't bring enough in my business, or this debt is weighing me down, or things like that, right? Where do you feel it in your body, and where do you see it in your life? Debt for sure. It makes me feel hollow. Yeah. Like empty inside. Sadie feels it in her heart and her chest. Yeah. Feel it in my heart. My heart just kind of races for the anxiety of it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And don't worry, when we get to like the hot seat part, I'm not just going to leave you guys all hanging here where it's like, haha, I'm so glad you guys are feeling this. Like, we're going to talk about how to kind of move through these things. Okay. The first part is like bringing awareness to this and how we physically react to our thoughts about money. Right. Because on one of our coaching calls in the sales mama, we were talking about like if I was talking about bananas right now, right? Like most of you would laugh about it if I was like, haha, you have 1,000 bananas, right? Most people wouldn't be, energetically charged to bananas unless they had extreme hate or love for bananas. But when we say money, it's like, it is so energetically charged that it can throw us off to the point where we have physical symptoms, right? Mental, physical, emotional symptoms, right? Jen feels unsure. So my next question is, where are you trying to earn love? Maybe it's through like your pricing, maybe it's through like the hustle, like if I just do more, or maybe it's through like your output. Like if I just put my head down and just work, 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 right? Where do you feel like you're trying to earn your love? Through your pricing, through earning money? Where does that show up for you? Never saying no, perfectionism. I feel like I'm on the right path, but not making a lot of money is tough right now. Yeah. So something feels off and you're just not sure what. It's like, I feel like I'm doing the right things, but something's not clicking. Yeah. What else? What comes up when you feel like you're trying to earn, and maybe love isn't even just the right word. It can be like earn love, prove yourself, things like that. Like for me, the underlying thing is love, but it's like proving your value, proving your worth, right? Consistency. Yeah, not charging enough in order to have acceptance. Yeah. Another one that comes up for people is they will devalue their work. They'll get on a phone call and immediately they'll start charging discounts or doing discounts, offering discounts. Another thing is they will be filtered in everything they say, right? They'll start to agree with people on things that they're like, I don't even know why I agreed to that. That's not me at all, right? They start to show up inauthentically. Yeah. Not being too big with my presence. Yeah. Like, what if I am fully myself and people don't actually like me? What if I'm too much? Yeah. Ooh, gulp. Yeah. And on the flip side, what if somebody does actually tell you that you're too much? What are you going to do about it? You know, like what happens when that happens? Cry. Yeah. Not valuing what I offer, not necessarily the product, but me. Yeah. Feeling of unworthy. Yeah. You know what's interesting is I bet most of you here didn't have these confidence issues. Maybe not all of you, but I think most of you probably didn't have these confidence issues when you were younger, or maybe you hid it a lot better, right? And so there's a difference between external confidence and internal confidence. And the older we get, the more I think we need that internal confidence in order for it to externally come out, right? Because the loudest person in the room isn't necessarily the most confident person in the room. And I think when we're younger, we think the loudest person is the most confident, right? But that's not true. You shut down and ignore, fear of actually being myself. So I squash my true self and feel like that's not enough, sabotaging myself or disqualifying myself. Yes, I feel that. I feel like I've gotten better. I was so insecure when I was younger, but I've done a shit ton of work. You have done a lot of work, a lot of really uncomfortable work. Well, come along for the ride. Oh, yes. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do, there is actually a quiz in our original workbook, and I want to talk about that a little bit to figure out what type of money patterns our R's, like what type of money block patterns we have, because really there's 5 different money type blocks for each type of business owner, essentially. And so there's the undercharger, the overworker, the avoider, the micromanager, and the hustle queen. And so based on that, you may have an idea of what you are already, but we're going to kind of walk through them together. And you may have a dominant trait and you may have a secondary trait, right? Just like any personality test, there's typically a dominant one and then a subdominant one, right? Similar to like our buyer personality test, right? Like some of us are sapphires and rubies or pearls and emeralds. And so you can be more than one thing. We are dynamic individuals. And so don't feel like you have to fit into a box of one. It's more along the lines of bringing awareness to what type of money block pattern you have. Okay. And so for those of you who do not have it right in front of you, I'm going to walk you through it right here. And then I want you just to either, circle it, put it in your journal or do it along with me. But we're going to do this together really quick because this, I think, will also bring some awareness to what some of your money blocks will be and how you can start to kind of heal them going forward and just be really mindful of how you show up in your business. Okay. So I want you to circle the statements that feel true for you. And so maybe what you do is as I start to read these, you think about how many of these are true and you can just put like check marks. So like I'll say the undercharger and then you can, put tallies for how many of these are yours. And we'll go through each of them. And the one that has the most tallies at the end will be the one that is yours, essentially. Okay. And I'll make this a little bit bigger there. Okay. Maybe even a little bit bigger. Okay. So the undercharger, put a check for each one of these that feels true to you. Okay. I often discount my offers or feel weird charging full price. Put a check mark if this feels true to you. I underprice to be accessible or to avoid rejection, or also to avoid people saying no to you, which is a form of rejection. Okay. Put a check mark if you've said it's not about the money, even when you need the money. Put a check mark if you feel uncomfortable when someone pays you. Put a check mark if you think raising your prices might scare people away. Okay, and that was for the undercharger. Okay. Now we'll move on to the overworker. So write the overworker, and then underneath we're going to tally these up. Okay. The overworker. Put a check mark if you feel guilty if you're not doing something in your business, if you're not actively doing something. Put a check mark if you equate hard work with business or with worthiness. Put a check mark if you constantly feel like there's more that you should be doing. Put a check mark if rest feels unproductive or indulgent. Put a check mark if you over-deliver to prove your value. And then I want you to tally up how many check marks you have for the overworker. And just holler at me if I go too fast. Okay. But I want to make sure we'll probably go through about another 10 minutes of content, and then we'll do some coaching here. Okay. The avoider. Put a check mark if you avoid looking at my numbers or avoid looking at your numbers or logging into your bank account. Or if logging into your bank account just makes your heart race. Put a check mark if you don't have a clear income goal or a sales plan. Put a check mark if you procrastinate on launching, selling, or following up. Put a check mark if you fear success almost as much as you fear failure. Put a check mark if you feel overwhelmed thinking about money, systems, or structure. And then go ahead and tally those ones up for the avoider. Next, the micromanager. Okay. Put a check mark if you check Stripe or Shopify constantly for sales, or you have all of your notifications on and you check all of your notifications constantly. It can be for more than Stripe or Shopify. You can have your Facebook notifications on, your email notifications on, your Slack notifications on, your Instagram notifications on, and you're just on all the time. Okay. Put a check mark if you obsess over engagement or stats to validate yourself, or just to check if things keep progressing. Constantly check, 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 check. Put a check mark if you second guess your decisions or change directions often. This can also be known as shiny object syndrome. Put a check mark if you struggle to trust others or to let go of control. Put a check mark if you want everything to be perfect before you launch or hit post. And then go ahead and tally up those. And the last one here, the hustle queen, okay? Put a check mark if you believe you have to push through to succeed, okay? No pain, no gain. Put a check mark if you take pride in doing it all yourself, even when you're exhausted. Burnout is a badge of honor, whether you like to admit it or not. Put a check mark if you're constantly in survival mode, more often than you're not. Put a check mark if you've normalized burnout and call it being driven. I'm just driven. I'm just really motivated. I just love what I do. Make excuses for working all the time. Put a check mark if you do not trust that money will come unless you force it. You have to be doing something in order to be making money. You have to have a plan. You have to have a program or a process or a launch, or something has to be happening in order for you to make money. Okay. And then go ahead and tally those up for the hustle queen. All right. And then I want you to drop your primary and then your secondary, or just your results in general. Maybe you can list them in order of what yours are in the chat. Overworker, then avoid. Okay. Who else? Tied, undercharger, and overworker. Yep, some of them will be tied. Avoid, then overwork. The avoider, then everything else was a close second. Avoider and undercharger. Undercharger. Okay, so avoider was the top one, and then overworker. Okay, perfect. Okay, anybody else want to share theirs? Which one hit hardest for you? Which one was like, ooh, holy crap, I didn't even know that it was that bad? Overworker, undercharger, then hustle queen. Okay. So Jen, number 3 was so Jen, you're the avoider the most. Avoider, lots of avoiders here. This is good to know. This is so good to know. I'm the hustle queen, if you guys haven't noticed. I'm the hustle queen, and then probably the overworker. Those are mine. I know I'm an avoider. Overworker hits hardest. I was surprised I wasn't the avoider. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. 0 micromanager, which is not shocking. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Micromanager is like probably my last one. The avoider is probably my third. I would say mine is hustle queen, then the overworker, then the avoider, then undercharger, and then micromanager. So yeah, very interesting stuff though, right? Do you feel like this brings a little bit of awareness just to how you view money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And you obviously we can dive a lot deeper into those too, but I wanted you guys just to have kind of a baseline of that too. And so honestly, it's not always a strategy problem. It's really, it can be about safety. It can be about survival. It can be about self-trust. And those things happen within us, not externally, right? And so you can have all the strategy in the world, But if you don't feel safe and if you don't trust yourself, that strategy is not necessarily going to work, or it's only going to get you so far, right? And so you have to have the whole other side of it, which is that soulful side, where you start to release those money blocks that keep you stuck, those things that energetically are like keeping you clammed up and can turn into mental, physical, emotional symptoms that can then manifest into so many other things, right? We can yell, we can scream, we can self-sabotage. There's so many things that we can then project out onto other people, or we chronically undercharge, or we, all of these things that we start to do that then affect our strategy in our business because we have these money blocks, right? So then when we're sitting there saying, I need more strategy, I need more strategy, I need more strategy, do you? Or do you need to really do the inner work to be able to trust yourself and feel really safe within your decisions and confident, and have the confidence and the self-worth that you can provide the things that you actually have to offer the world, right? And feel good about that and not second guess yourself. And so when you have the confidence and you are balanced, happy, and healthy, the strategy becomes so much easier. So much easier. Does this make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I like to have both, right? And so a lot of times we're always looking for this like quick fix. Oh, if I just had a Facebook ad. Oh, if I just had a landing page. Oh, if I just tweak my copy. Yes. But then what? Right? Because that's a band-aid fix for an internal problem. Right? You can take the diet pill, you can lose 10 pounds in a week, but you're going to gain it right back once that band-aid fix stops working. And so all of us try to avoid, all of you here are avoiders, so it doesn't surprise me that everybody's avoiding the inner work. Shocker. It sucks though, because it's hard, because you actually have to face your shit and your inner demons. And it's not easy. Whoever said like, oh, development, like, oh, let's just set boundaries and talk about 5 a.m. club. Yeah, it's not that easy. Like there's a lot of tears, blood, sweat, and tears that go into personal development. It's not a bunch of kitty cats and rainbows. Like it's going back to your inner child, to your shadow self, past generations, and really getting to know why you are the way you are. Right? It's not easy. And for those of you who have children or other people who are directly influenced by you, if you don't show up and do the work, guess who you're influencing to not do the work? Monkey see, monkey do. How many here hate the saying, do as I say, not as I do? How'd that work out for everybody? Not me. Yeah, if I avoid it, then I don't have to deal with it. Yeah, until, all of a sudden it's like up to here, it's like you're in a tank of glass and all of a sudden it's like filling up, it's filling up and it's filling up. And you're just kind of like, okay, I'm running out of oxygen. And then one day there's like no more air and you're like bursting to get out of this thing, right? And then you explode on everybody. And it's nobody's fault but your own. And you take it out on who? You don't take it out on your clients. You take it out on everybody that you love that's closest to you. Is that fair to them? No. Or we take it out on ourselves. We self-sabotage, we self-harm. And I don't mean like physically, but you know what I mean? We start to do things that set us back so far that we're like, see, I told you. I told you you had to work hard. I told you it wasn't going to work. Because we've avoided it for so long that we've proved ourselves right. Yeah. During a recent fast and prayer, I realized that a poverty mindset has been a generational thing in my family. Yes, there is a saying that you cannot become poor enough to make poor people rich. You cannot become starved enough to make starved people nourish, right? The only way that you can help is becoming so abundant that you have overflow to give to others, right? So by helping yourself, you're actually helping others. Okay. And I don't mean it in a selfish way. I absolutely do not mean it in a selfish way. I mean it in a way to where you are happy, healthy, and grounded, and you are centered, you are balanced, you are full, you are complete. And it's not this place of like, oh, just give me more. It's like, no, I'm full, I'm complete, I'm good. Now I can start to give, right? It's not from a place of greed, it's from a place of abundance. Yeah. So, what belief do you have that's not serving you anymore, but you feel like you're still carrying it about money specifically? Like, what's the thing? Kind of like what Jessica just said. There's been a generational thing in her family for a long time that she recently found out. What's a thing that plays on repeat in your head for you about money? Or it can be sales or business or, something money related. You have one, pop it in the chat. That I don't have what it takes, or others don't think I do. Yeah. Yeah. They're not good enough. Yeah. So what other people think, or that like maybe I'm not cut out for this, or the imposter syndrome, that type of stuff comes up, or that I need to have a real job to be making money. Yep. A real job. That no matter how much I try or do, it won't be enough. Yeah. Yeah. And where do you feel like that belief came from? And this is something that will take a lot longer to dive into, but we'll just, when you think back to like, is that you that says that? Or does it feel like somebody else is saying it to you? Or what's your earliest memory of feeling that? It's really interesting when we start to dive into those things. It's like, man, is that even me saying that? Like when I started my business, like the imposter syndrome would creep up a whole lot. This is going to be, it may sound vulgar or whatever, but the thing that always come up with me is like, nobody cares what you say, Sausha, you're just a piece of shit. Because my dad would always get like really mad about things, and he would just say, anyway, it's a whole long story. But anyways, he would call us just little pieces of shit all the time, right? Like he'd get mad and he'd just call us names. And so like anytime that I would put myself out there, I'd be like, why do you even try? You're just a piece of shit, you know? But that wasn't even like my story. It was because it was ingrained in my brain that like I was a piece of shit, you know? I carry, well, thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Deanna. Let's see here. I'm accustomed to an employer determining my value by way of salary, not me. My childhood, when my parents went bankrupt, and the beliefs my mom gained from the experience was projected onto me. Yeah. It came from the people I was surrounded by as a kid. I'm slowly learning it's not true. I had been told, yeah, you've been told it. And then who is going to listen to you? Yeah. Who's going to listen to you? You don't know what you're talking about. I've had that too. I think breaking away from the programming mold could be really overwhelming. Yeah. That sounds really hard to get over. Oh yeah. I have some stories, you guys. I have some stories. I don't have time for them today, but I have some really messed up stories. People around me, my parents instilled hard work ethic, and all of us kids seem to go work online. Doesn't seem like you'll go far. Not like they aren't supportive. It's just different than what they're used to. Yeah, exactly. Right. And different sometimes equals fear, right? Because it's unknown. And so if something's unknown, it equals fear, right? It's like, don't go into that deep, dark room. We don't know what's in there. It could be scary. Okay. So this isn't this isn't really about like forcing anything or faking anything, or like, I don't want you guys to walk away from here being like, oh, we're just going to say some affirmations and everything's going to be fine. That's not my intent for this. I really want you guys just to bring awareness to these beliefs, to these stories, to these really heavy things that you guys have been carrying around, and ask yourself, do I really want to keep carrying these around? Right. And so when we have these beliefs, and again, this may be kind of vulgar, but it is what it is because this is how my brain works. I think of these beliefs, if they're not mine to carry, I think of them as like bags of shit. Right. And I'm like, I don't want to carry everybody's shit anymore. It's like, drop all the bags. Like, you don't have to carry everybody's stuff around anymore. Like, give it back to them or just stop carrying it around. And it's easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done. But every time you catch yourself saying something like this, now that you have some awareness, you can stop and say, do I really want to believe this? Is this true? Is this ultimately true? And the answer is no. And so you have to start finding evidence of the opposite of what you believe, right? You have to find evidence of the actual truth, right? People do care what you have to say. People do want you in this world. People do want to invest in you. There is evidence of the things that you do desire out there. And so you have to find more evidence of the thing that you want, that you desire. Okay. So here, before we get into some questions for like hot seat coaching, and we'll do hot seat coaching for anybody who wants to kind of do a little bit of back and forth here. But I would love for you to declare your new belief, your new identity, and showing up like you're already the version of you that receives the amount of money and the amount of clients and the amount of wealth that you want and that you desire in this world, right? It's not going to be someday when. It's not like you're all of a sudden going to get $20,000 a month and be like, oh, now I know how to budget. Like, no, you figure those things out now so that when you start to get more of that money, you keep that money because you feel safe, right? You're not going to self-sabotage if you get a large sum of money, because people do this all the time. They'll get a raise. And the reason that we get a raise, or like if somebody gets a raise, say they get a $20,000 raise, you're making $80,000 a year, you get a $20,000 raise. What most people do is they'll upgrade their life. They'll buy a bigger car, buy a bigger house, buy some of this. They put themselves right back in that paycheck to paycheck, right back into there, because they have not upgraded their money mindset. They have not upgraded their subconscious beliefs. They have not let go of the things that have kept them stuck. So they put themselves right back in the same position at a higher income bracket, right? And so that's why I want you guys to do the work now, not someday when. So you can buy all the systems and all the strategies in the world, but if you don't fix where it starts, it's not going to be long lasting, right? Jen says here, I truly believe the reason we're all here pulled near to you, Sausha, is because our job in this lifetime is to resolve these embedded generational money and personal worth beliefs and end it now. Yes, yes. And we all have a gift to share with the world, right? We all have a gift to share it with the world. And ultimately, that's why we're here, is like we have something that we want to share, but there's this block keeping us from sharing it. And it's like, I want to let this go so that I can be my most authentic, abundant self, right? And then that's that gift that keeps on giving, because that overflowing cup. It's like, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Like, be Oprah over here, right? Oh man. So let's do a quick little journal prompt, and then we'll get into some coaching questions for you guys. Okay. So I want you to write, even if ... I am still worthy of ... Okay. And then I want you to drop it in the chat when you're done. Even if I fail, I am still worthy of love. 100%. Even if I've been an ugly person, I'm still worthy of living without worry. Yeah. I've done some really messed up stuff when I was a younger kid, when I was in my 20s. Even though I've done some really messed up stuff, I am still worthy of living a happy, successful, abundant life and helping others change their life. Even though I am not perfect, I am still showing up anyways. Even though I have these money wounds, I am still working on creating the abundant life I deserve, that I desire. Even if I feel like I might fail, I'm worthy of giving it everything I have in hopes of succeeding. Yeah. Even if I don't know the outcome, I'm still worthy of trying and feeling purpose in it. Absolutely. Even if I'm an avoider, I'm worthy of success. Yes. Even if there's judgment or measurement, if I am still worthy of acceptance for who I am. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes to all of this. I love it. Okay. How are you guys feeling after that? Well, I got some more stuff for you, but how are you guys feeling after that so far? Diana, how you feeling over there?
I'm writing it, but I just let out a huge exhale.
Good. Feels like permission. Yeah. Yeah. You can give yourself permission, but if you're looking for it, here it is. You have permission. Crying, but relieved. I love it. Permission to be a hot mess. Hey, anybody out there who says they've got it all together is either, I don't know, either they have a lot of help or they're a really good liar. I want to learn from them if they've got it all together, because I know I don't. Okay. All right. So let's pick on some people here. I'm going to ask a question, and then you guys can just pop in the chat who wants to talk it out with me with this question. So what's been feeling kind of sticky around money or sales lately for you? So I'll pop the question in the chat, and then first person to just kind of type me after that can be the person that grabs this question, and then we can talk it out. And if nobody wants this question, I got another question. Not a clear vision of who my ideal client is, still evolving there. Okay. Jen, do you want to unmute quick and we can talk about this for a couple minutes?
Okay. Hi.
Hey. So when you think of something feeling sticky, like with money and sales, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, what feels like the stuck point? Like when you think of like something flowing easily, smoothly, what feels like the sticking point, like where things are kind of getting caught up?
Charging what I know this is worth, what I do, and knowing once I set that down, that it's going to make it unaccessible to a lot of people. But when I say that, it doesn't just mean like truly, it means it's going to push myself out of a whole I don't even have the words for it right now, type of people that value their health in a different way than the people that value. I see it. I'm language. Like there's a lot of, it's hard to wrap my head around that. What I'm trying to say, what I'm saying is I'm not worried in like I want to help everybody mode. Like I raise my prices, and then I'm going to leave a whole group behind. But really what I need to come to terms with is I need to be willing to separate myself from that mindset from those people have, that they can't afford, whatever I bring the price up to where it actually matches my value and what I'm giving. I'm going to leave a whole bunch of people in the dust. But the reason I'm leaving them in the dust is because they haven't placed their own health value yet on a monetary level like that. If that makes sense. People say, oh, I can't afford it, as they're going out to dinner every night. They want to get better, but they're eating crappy food out, or they're just have all these bad, I don't like to say bad, but they have health habits that are not favorable, but they're also expensive.
So
And
the pain
I
is
gotta
not
say,
great enough for them yet.
say that again.
The pain isn't great enough for them to change it, essentially is what it is. Because if they,
Exactly.
if they were in a place of what, if it were bad enough, they would change. But most people don't change until things get bad enough and they have no other choices, right? So right now it's more of a comfort zone thing. Like it's a wouldn't it be nice if type of thing. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's not really like a necessity because they haven't had a place in their life where it's like, yeah, I'm not having any major health issues right now, so I'm going to continue until they have a major wake up call. And then it's, something is hitting them in the face where it's like, listen, you're going to die if things don't change. Right. And then they start to change.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but most people don't change until something smacks them right in the face and is like, listen, you're knocking on death's door if you don't do something. And then they do something, right? And they'll pull everything together to make it happen. And so maybe what you do is you have a product for them, right? And it's like, hey, you don't want to change yet? Great. You don't say that to them, but you're like, hey, you're not ready for this investment level. I have this DIY product that may actually be perfect for you. Or join my monthly membership where it's this, right? It's a lesser commitment. It's a lesser, you know what I mean? Where it's you are putting less of your time and energy into it because they are also putting less of their time and energy into it. So it's more of an energetic match. Does that make sense?
No, that absolutely does, because that helps me figure out where they can go versus leaving them in the dust, and then they might start to see the value. Well, they will start to see the value at that point. And
Yeah.
so this is really good because that is the point right there of really elevating myself up to the next level. I have my ideal client today. She's like a ruby. I didn't realize that about 2 months ago. And I'm really excited to work with her today. And then I had someone yesterday that was hitting the pain points. But so the one today has the money. The one yesterday, not so much, but she's reprioritizing. And I just point blank asked her at the end of our consult, what is your budget for moving forward with your healing plan? And she said, I don't really have one, but I know this is going to be expensive because I'm 41 years into this mess. And I'm willing to invest in whatever it's going to take to unravel it. So I don't know if that meant she's going to put stuff on a credit card. I don't know. From this point out, I'm not making the prices. These are the things we need for her to heal. But I like that. I'm like, okay, yes, please, and thank you. She's willing to do what it takes because she's in a lot of,
Yeah. But if you think about it,
figuratively.
Here's an analogy for most of you that I think will be helpful, right? Because at the end of the day, the only true thing that we have is our health, right? The only thing that we have at the end of the day is our health. And if your health was taken away from you guys right now, that would be your main priority. You would care less about anything else. You would want to be getting healthy, okay? And if you ask any sick person or, somebody who is 80, 90, 100 years old, like what is the thing that you want the most? They want health and they want time. They want health and they want time. And if they could pay an amount of money to have those things, I bet they would. you know? So it's how great is the pain in order for them to get to that point. And not that I really want to like stay in that pain point, right? Like we want to touch on the pain point, but we also want to paint the
Yeah.
result, because I'm not one of those people that's like pour salt in an open wound, you know, but it's like, how great is the pain for them to want to have the desired result, you know? So, but yeah, see if you can't come up with a product
I,
that would
I
match energy for those people.
that's a good one. And then part of me, I have such an inner snark that, I mean, people that really know me and like what I really want to say and then what I'm saying. And so, and I might need to release that and just see what happens. I mean, worst case scenario, I bring it back in a little bit and kind of find a little different point, but I'm feeling like it might be necessary. In fact, yesterday I was reading on a thread and someone was saying, oh, ivermectin is now going to be over the counter in Idaho. And people are like, oh, it's so expensive. It's like $1 a pill. And someone piped in, is like, what's expensive? Like, does it cost more than a funeral? And I was dying. I'm like, that's me. I want to say that.
You should. Let's hear your snarky self. I love it.
Yeah, I think else needs.
Okay, well, I'll be looking for that. I'll be looking for
Thank
that
you.
new product. Yes. And for anybody that has to hop off at the top of the hour, feel free. I will stick around for another 15 or 30 minutes. We do have a few more questions that I can go through with people. So feel free to stick around as long as you need to or want to. So next question, feel free to hop in, whoever wants to grab this one with me. When you think about raising your prices, what immediately comes up? When you think about raising your prices, what immediately comes up? Fear. Deanna, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so fear of not being able to deliver the value that is required for the price and not living up to people's expectations.
Yeah. And where do you feel it in your, like, where do you feel it in your body? And where do you feel like it came from in your life?
So my head and my body, no connection, so I can't tell you. Just doesn't work that way. That it comes from my parents,
Yeah.
like not feeling good enough comparing to my siblings. Yeah.
And your siblings, well, first I want to go back to the not feeling fear, your head and your body. When you feel scared, where do you feel scared at? How do you know you're scared? How do you know you're fearful?
I don't know, and I'm not in a mental state today to talk about that.
Okay.
I'll tell you about that tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah.
So are you, remind me, you're the youngest, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what type of stuff did they say, or what type of stuff did they do?
The example that is so prevalent in my mind is that my dad was a truck driver, so my siblings, they had this thing that they got money for cleaning his truck in the weekends, like on the inside and stuff like. And I got to do that once, and then it's like, that's not good enough. And then I didn't like get to do it again, and I didn't get the money and stuff. Well, I probably got money for that, but this thing about like it was never good enough what I did compared to the others. And I'm sure it's not actually the case, but that's what I remember. That's what's in my head, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Do they
working on that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is like one, like the first thing that comes up, which I still struggle with, is like that whole forgiveness piece, right? Especially when there's like other people involved in it, and not necessarily that you have to like walk up to them and, you know, say anything to them, but it is that forgiveness piece. And the forgiveness piece meaning that you are now releasing control of what they have said and done over how you think, act, and feel about a certain situation, right? And I'm super stubborn in this. There's still some things that, you know, my dad has said things to me that I'm just like, Kim, I'm never gonna I'm never going to forgive him, you know? So like there's things that I'm still working on and I realize that there are still blocks for me. So it's easier said than done. But every time that you can, you know, move through those and do some type of, you know, forgiveness work and letting go work, like it does kind of unlock some things. And so some things that I have done that have been helpful is like writing letters to whoever, whether it's your siblings, your mom, your dad, you know, and being as petty as you want. Like I used to write things and be like, I can't believe that you used to do this for all of these people and you never let me, you know what I mean? Like write all the feelings out. Like you can be petty, you can be spiteful, because if you don't get those feelings out, they just take up, like obviously they're still taking up space. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is I would put all of these things, thoughts, feelings, beliefs onto paper, and then I would burn them, right? Burn them, bury them, do whatever, you know, nobody ever saw them. And then half the time, you know, after you do that a couple, 2-3 times, you start to forget about how much power that had over you, right? But sometimes there's certain memories that are so charged that like even the thought of them just angers you, right? And so those take multiple, you know, steps, but that's the only real thing that I have found. You know, it's not just talk therapy, but like something that you can physically do to help you release that, you know.
I've been considering hypnosis again, like trying to work with that, but yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
hypnosis is another one. I never remember what
yeah.
happens in hypnosis.
Me neither.
Like as soon as they're like, and 10, 9, 8, I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
But I love it. But I love it.
Thank you.
Yes. A couple others say, not living up to the price that I'm charging. Yeah. And sometimes I think that's just like an imposter syndrome, right? Because we haven't done it yet. And so for things like that, I say incremental upgrades, right? So sometimes we'll talk to people and they'll say, oh yeah, just increase your prices. You know, if you're charging $100 now and you then all of a sudden now you charge $1,000, like that's a big increase for a lot of people energetically and financially, right? And so sometimes like your system will freak out and you'll start to self-sabotage. So in that event, you want to do incremental upgrades. So if 100 to 1,000 feels like a lot, do 100 to 300, 300 to 500, 500 to 750, and so on until you get to that point where it just feels easier. And then you're, you know, finding evidence along the whole path that you are providing value, they are getting value, you're asking for feedback in a way that's not seeking validation, but that's actual providing valuable feedback, so that you feel confident in the prices that you are charging. And if at any time, you know, people are like, ooh, this sucks, you know, take it as feedback to how can I make improvements? You know, you try not to take those things too personal. There's always room for improvement. And, you know, every now and then you will get somebody that's like, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. How are you going to fix it? Right? It's always an opportunity to make an improvement. Okay. When you think about raising your prices, what immediately comes up? Presenting it to new prospects. Yeah. And so I actually posted something today on my Instagram that yesterday's price is not today's price, right? And so if somebody ever says something where it's a new prospect and they're like, well, I saw something that it was this price last month. Yesterday's price is not today's price, right? You don't go to the grocery store and be like, last month I saw you had a 10% off everything sale. They'd be like, that was last month. Should have been here then, right? And I wish that we had that level of confidence in ourselves that some of these larger companies do, right? Because they have to also meet that bottom dollar in order to continue to make themselves profitable. You know, and if they bent over backwards for every person and asked for a discount, how profitable and how long in business do you think a lot of those companies would be? Right. But I think because we're so personally attached to our business that we're like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's no big deal. And every time we let our guard down and let those boundaries kind of become, you know, like a gray area, we're saying no to ourselves and saying yes to something else. Right. And so when we do that, we attract more people that will also test our boundaries in that capacity. Right. So when you are presenting prices to new people, the price is the price. Just let it flow off the tongue. And I know, again, that sounds easier said than done. So if you have, you can practice mirror work, you can practice just, pitching to yourself in a mirror. You can just walk around your house practicing it. You can role play. You can do lots of things, or go back to the incremental upgrades to where it doesn't feel so big of a stretch. And make an announcement even in your email or in your newsletter, or on your social media, like, hey, at the end of the month, the prices are going up. Last chance, get in. There's lots of ways that you can start to make that move so that it doesn't feel as big of a leap. It'll still feel kind of scary. You may get some people that'll give you some pushback. So I do think that we all have to have some type of thick skin in order to have a business. Not saying it in like a gross masculine, like screw everybody type of way, but like you do have to have some type of boundary within your business. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time growing if you just, bend over backwards for anybody and everybody. So, next question here is, where do you think you're holding back, but you don't know how to stop? Where do you think you're holding back, but you don't know how to stop? Or where you know you're holding back and you don't know how to stop? It's the first thing that comes up for you. Where do you feel like you're holding back, but you don't know how to stop? It can be showing up authentically. It can be the raising your prices, closing deals. Fran, can you drop in the chat what you do for business? Giving too much for free. Yeah. Putting myself out there. Yeah. Yep. Health, fitness, and finance. Okay. Okay. So with the closing, with the holding yourself back, I'm just going to give some examples here with what you guys are dropping in the chat. Sometimes we can hold ourselves back in the closing just by asking for the sale, right? Like sometimes we just avoid asking for the sale, or we'll ask for the sale. And if they're kind of like, we don't continue to ask in any other way. We just kind of like let it go, right? And so just creating that consistency, having some type of, the sales terminology would be a pitch, right? Having some type of practice pitch to where it just rolls off the tongue. If you're in, where did you put? Insurance, right? Or even cosmetologist, health and fitness, any of those things. Like if I used to have an insurance agency, and so every single person, I would ask if they wanted to add a child rider policy, child rider to their insurance policy. It's not that much, and it counts as an extra policy on every policy, right? So that's something that you can add on every single conversation that you have, every single policy that you write, and ask them if they have children, if they want to add an insurance rider or a child rider. There's different types of riders that you can add to the different types of insurance policies, and you can just make that be part of your pitch for the end of every single one. And most times, if there's something like that, it can add as an entire second application, right? An entire different, what am I trying to say? Policy. Yeah, policy. I had a brain fart there. And then just consistently closing those deals, consistently asking for that sale. Like, hey, are you ready to move forward today? especially with insurance, because rates can change so often, especially if you're selling things like IULs. They determine, the rates are based kind of on market value and like what's happening in like the S&P 500 and, things like that, right? So you can use that as a sense of urgency and consistency when closing those deals. Okay. So just make sure that you have those practice pitches when you're talking to people, and just having it kind of like flow off the tongue. And if you don't have anybody to practice with, that's where I would do mirror work. Mirror work meaning like you literally stand in front of a mirror and present to yourself in a way that you feel confident, and you do different types of role playing. Yeah. And that can be very, very helpful. Another thing that I have actually told my clients to do is when you are pitching and you are in kind of a nervous, anxious state, you're not normally that nervous when you're role playing or when you're doing mirror work. So what I would encourage you to do is like walk around your house or walk around outside as you're pitching, because then you're kind of like artificially increasing your heart rate and artificially increasing, like how you're breathing and things like that. And so you have to kind of like calm yourself down as you're walking and pitching. That way you don't pitch too fast, you don't talk too fast, and you're not sitting there like as you're pitching to somebody, because that can also sound kind of wild. So you can walk around and start to try to, pitch yourself too. And the same thing like with health and fitness, if there's any type of add-ons that you can add into that, that could also increase, the consistency with your sales and just improve the overall value of that sale by saying like, hey, here's this product, package, or service. Would you like to add this in addition to it? Because, if you get them to say yes, a lot of times it's easier for them to say yes to the second time. Yeah, it can get super repetitive. And so when you are talking with those people, I would get to know their specific situation, and then you can kind of tweak your pitch to fit their specific situation. Whether they have, like a small family, whether they're older and maybe they're getting policies for their grandkids, just kind of depends on where they're at in their life. Deanna says here, giving away too much for free. And you feel like you're holding yourself, you don't know how to stop giving away stuff for free. Is that what you mean?
I mean, when I have discovery calls, for example, then we're talking about it as well, like coaching without permission kind of thing. And yeah. I think that's hard.
Yeah. So there's a difference between like a discovery call and a sales call and a coaching call. And I think a lot of times what we want to do is just help people. And so the purpose of a sales call in my eyes is to get permission to work with that person to be able to provide that value. And so to start making that shift, instead of just like, hey, here's all these ideas, I say, I have an idea. Can I share it with you? Or do I have permission to give some advice? Or I have an idea, so you can start to ask those questions to get them to say yes, so that when it gets to the point of asking for the sale, they've already said yes to you providing value and providing advice, so that when it comes time to like, all right, are you ready to move forward with working together? They've said yes to you 1 or 2 or 3 times already by you saying like, hey, I have an idea. Can I share it with you? Oh, yes, for sure. Hey, what do you think about, you know what I mean? So that's something that I have done, because I used to also really over provide, it's just one of the things. Yeah, I've always kind of struggled with that, but I have found that like asking for permission for it has been very helpful, and also asking for permission for the sale, and it has been much easier in converting the sale, because it's like, hey, I have an idea. Can I share it with you? Hey, what do you think about this? I have some advice. Do you want to hear it? And then they say, yes, yes. And then also helping. So you could do something like that, because you're getting permission, right? And then also just sticking to that timeline of like 30 to 45 minutes in your calls, so that you're not, over providing, could also be really helpful. So you have a script, don't you? I know we've done a script before. You
Not
mean
for me.
I swear we have we not?
No, we've never.
I know what we're doing.
I have an idea for how my process is going.
Okay.
But I don't
Yeah.
have a direct script.
Well, I know something we could work on. So, Jasmine says here, being consistent. Do you mean just being consistent in like showing up online, or being consistent in pitching, being consistent where we're at with being consistent? I know you had to go off camera, so if you gotta pop it in the chat.
Sorry.
You're
But being consistent and showing up more
Okay.
than anything, and putting myself and like my products out there.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I have, like, a lot of the blogs and things that I've read, it's all been like, 10 years, and then things started happening. And so for the longest time, I had the build it and they will come kind of mindset, and trying to break out of that because it's not worked.
If I had to wait 10 years to make my first $1, I tell you, that would have worked for me.
And most of them were like, I just started this as a side thing to, document all my stuff. And then I really started getting into it. And then like they talk about how they slowly built.
Mm-hmm.
And then how like within 7 to 10 years, they were making, millions off of it. It's like, I don't have that time, but also I get distracted easily.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, I feel you there. I get distracted easily too. Like I always want to start new things. I'm like, squirrel. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
Sausha, stick to one thing. This
Focus
is what
on, yeah.
is. This is what
Yeah.
you're doing. And so I offer types of workshops, but my overall product is pretty much this, you know what I mean? Like I'll offer like this workshop,
Yeah.
right? But like all roads still lead to Sales Mama School,
That's the hard thing though too, is like not having a very big audience, and so like building other things and then getting distracted in the house before I even like market it.
Yeah.
Either, or like build the audience and build that with everybody else is the hard kind of journey that I'm doing right now too.
Yeah. So
I'm also watching my verbiage.
oh, you're fine. If you need to, you can cuss if you want. I don't care.
Oh no, like trying, like between trying and doing.
Oh, okay.
Like trying to watch like what I actually say and
be intentional with your language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to do things versus I'm doing the things.
Doing the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, less is more in this case, right? So I feel like a lot of times we have this big elaborate vision. A lot of us who are big dreamers, we're like, we see the end result. We see the pie in the sky. You know what I mean? We see all the things. And it's like, this is what I want. I want all the big things. But then we have to like reverse engineer all the way to the starting point. And then we're like, fuck, this is where we got to start. Like this sounds awful.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. Right.
Yeah.
And so what is just in its most simplest form, one thing, right? Like you can just have Jasmine Brown, right? And then Jasmine Brown can offer all the different things that she wants to offer, and it can start as simple as that. And things will start to grow beyond that. And I think what could be fun and exciting for you is instead of having like, oh, I have to do this one business and this one blog, start to think more of personal brand, right? Where people start to get to know, like, and trust you to the point where it doesn't matter if you're crocheting or if you're teaching like another workshop, or if you're teaching a goals workshop, or if you're hosting a retreat, they will do it because they know, like, and trust you, right? So you're more of that personal brand that has these products and services underneath that personal brand versus just one solid business. Does that make sense? And so like business can be your personal brand. Like that's a whole nother avenue that you can take with something. And there's a lot more creative control within it. And it doesn't work for everybody. Some people need more of that like direction, that niche. The niche works really well for a lot of people, but some people who get really bogged down by like niche need more of a personal brand, right? Or their niche is more of like a specific problem or a specific, you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit different in how you approach it versus like women in their 40s with hormone issues, you know, like sometimes they're so hyper specific that you put yourself right back in that box. And then it's like, well, this sounds like, this doesn't sound fun because it's so specific. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like niche down, niche down, niche down. Yes, that can be very successful. But also, if you struggle with niching down, maybe the personal brand route is the way that you go. And then you have creative control, maybe every quarter or every month, and you just have different offers that you put out there. I mean, that's kind of how I got started, is I would host workshops at yoga studios because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I was like, hey, can I host a workshop at your studio? And then within 2 years, I hosted a conference with like 100 freaking people there, you know? So you never know what could happen. And then I started hosting retreats and things just kind of went from there. So
I gotta start somewhere.
or commit to something, like it's April. What can you commit to for this quarter from now until July 1? And just let that be enough, right? And then you can commit to something, you can start something entirely different, right? But how can you just be Jasmine and get people to fall in love with Jasmine? Jazz hands.
Sam. Oh, okay.
I know
That's even more journaling.
well, I would just say, I don't know, just start showing up and start doing. I mean, I would even like skip the journaling and just start showing up.
And see, I think that's the piece too, is like I get out there and I go do more stuff, and then I don't also document it to share. Like that's
everything. See what hits, see what lands, see what you like. I mean, social media is supposed to be fun. And I think we've taken the fun out of social media because we're like, this strategy and that strategy and this strategy and that strategy. And like,
I just forget to take the pictures. Like like that's the hard thing, is I don't take the pictures to even share later. So I think that's what I've got to start doing more of. And maybe that's what I need to commit to the most, is content above anything else. So
I just hired somebody to help me with that. Not even like take the pic, just like kick me in the ass to make sure that I'm like doing the things. Cause like I forget to take videos and pictures all the time. So, but I'm doing it now, So every time you see me post, you'll be like, oh, content. I got to go do content.
Yeah. Because yours come up on mine for like everything, for Facebook, for Instagram.
I'm doing all the things. Yeah. Put a reminder on your phone. Yep. Bring the jazz hands. People will follow. Exactly. Oh, I love it. Okay. All right, ladies. Well, I loved this. I hope you found some value in this today, or at least your money's worth of value in this today. And then you do have that workbook. I'll go ahead and drop it again in the chat for you guys. Just remember to make a copy of it. There's multiple pages there. And then, let's see here, make sure I touched on everything. Yes. And then the only other thing is, if you guys did want to chat about any type of further support, we can hop on a phone call. I have my sales mama chat here. If you guys want to talk, it's like a half-hour call. We can have a conversation. Like I said, all roads point to Sales Mama School. So that's basically where, if you wanted further support, that's where everything goes. Otherwise, I do have a special offer for a 90-minute breakthrough session. If you guys want to do kind of a deep dive into your business, that's $197. You guys could also do that. You'll get all of this in email too, so don't worry. But thank you for being here. Thank you for this. I loved your guys' questions. I loved your participation. I plan on doing a little bit more of these, at least like one workshop per month, where we can do a little bit of hot seat coaching and a little bit more deep dive stuff with each other. I'll probably plan for future ones just to be 90 minutes because I feel like an hour just wasn't enough. So thank you, ladies, for being here. And if you have questions, or if you're going through some of this workbook stuff, or even like the replay and you're like, hey, you have a question, shoot us an email. I'm happy to answer 1 or 2 questions. Otherwise, just go ahead and hop on my calendar and we can do a quick Sales Mama chat, and I can also answer any of your questions there too. Okay. Aw, thanks, Jen. You've been we've had a good time. All right, ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and holler if you need anything. All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye.